Luka Doncic is in that conversation. This brother's spectacular. And what he did to James Harden in Houston the other day, a triple-double, a 35-point triple-double in 25 minutes, this dude's got the game and he's got the swag. You know, I was talking to, Adrian Wojnarowski, our ultimate NBA insider, along with a couple of other people, and we were just raving about Doncic because he's spectacular. But something needs to be said. Phoenix Suns picking DeAndre Ayton. Now, I tried to tell people when they were sitting there, I was like, you can't pass up on DeAndre Ayton. You can't teach 7 feet. You understand what I'm saying? This kid, and he started Arizona, and blah, blah. They were like, Stephen A. doesn't know what he's talking about. I said, you're absolutely right. I don't, because I never saw Luka Doncic until he got to the NBA. You see what I'm saying? So I'd never seen him. I'd never seen him at all. So I didn't know, and I told the audience that. So I don't know what to think about it because I never saw him. But the coach in Phoenix did. Vlade Divac from Europe. He has seen and heard about Luka Doncic. He had the number 2 overall pick where he picked Marvin Bagley. The number 3 pick, Atlanta allowed Dallas to trade up. Trae Young can ball. Trae Young is arguably the second coming of Steph Curry, the way he can handle and shoot, no doubt. But I think it's safe to say at this juncture, he's no Luka Doncic. This brother's on another level right now. So my point in Mike in saying that is, you're absolutely right.
And listen, man, I know you're a huge Knicks fan. I feel for you. Look, we had some good Roberts in the Heat and the Knicks. I remember those days. Keep your head up.
Man, Mike, do you know, I'll share this with you. And since you listen to me and you follow my show, and I appreciate the love, by the way, you know I'm telling the truth when I say this, because I don't lie. Who was the person imploring the Knicks to draft Donovan Mitchell a few years ago? Who was that?
Oh,
guy?
you did.
I was over the airways getting crucified. I said, Donovan Mitchell out of Louisville, take him with number 9 overall. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
Folks was like, what are you talking about, man? Ain't nobody got him projected there. I said, the hell with that. I like Dennis Smith Jr. I like Malik Monk. I did not like Frank Ntilikina. I'm sorry, I think it was the 8th pick. I did not like Frank Ntilikina. And Phil Jackson was asleep at the wheel or getting his hip treated or something. I don't know. But I knew that Donovan Mitchell should have been a pick. And what happened? Look at this. I don't even know what to say, bro.
Luka Doncic. Not only has he put together a season so far, it's up against that man. Look at James Harden. He went up against James Harden and out James Harden. He had 41 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, and not just that, had a win against the Rockets, who've been playing well. Luka Doncic is on a tear, Jalen Rose.
Easy like Sunday morning.
He makes it look easy.
Not out of control, really disciplined. I love the edge that he plays with, the versatility that he has, playing in all phases, is a clutch performer, showed to be that last year. Like, he's a dynamic 20-year-old.
Yes.
And see, I'm not one of those guys to give away hyperbole fast.
You're about to say something, aren't you?
I am about to say something. When you start talking about the best players in the league, he's there right now.
He's up there. He's up there now.
He up there right
He's
now.
top 10. He's top 10
Right
for sure.
Now. And that's so very impressive, to accomplish, and for me to acknowledge in only his second season.
But he never looks pressed. He's unbothered on the court.
Easy.
It just seems like he's a natural. You see certain players, they're trying. Like, you look at Westbrook, like he's giving his all every single night. Doncic seems like he's got another gear to get to. Look at his last 4 games. Just the last 4 times that he laced his sneakers and took an NBA court. 37 points, 8.5 rebounds, almost 12 assists, shoot 55 from the floor, and that's just in 31 minutes.
So I'll give you the most impressive thing of all of that, the minutes per game.
Mm-hmm.
You getting 37 and 31 minutes and plus giving me 12 dimes and grab me 8.5 boards?
It's crazy.
There ain't too many people that have walked the face of this earth have done that.
And he's 20 years old. You know what the wildest thing about him is? They're like, he's playing well this year because he got in shape. Like, you're 19, dude. You got in shape? Like, that's how you took the leap? You got in shape?
But also, I want to continue to acknowledge American-born players, i.e. Zion Williamson, are required to go to college. International prospects like Luka have been playing professional for the last handful of years. So he enters the league game ready.
Yeah.
And now his basketball intellect and his experience carries him. So we look at him as being 20 in his second year, but it's like his fifth year, really.
When he got drafted, he was already a Finals MVP. When he got drafted.
You had a chance to redo the 2018 draft. Top 5 draft picks were DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, Luka, Jaren Jackson, Trae Young. If you could do it all over again, who would you take?
6'7", getting triple doubles. Going with the taller guy in basketball.
No. Luka, yeah. I think everyone's kind of where they need to be in order to fully succeed. Like, Ayton is tough because when you talk about a 7-foot guy that has those skills, he might not be as dominant in those first couple of years as he will be, I think, older. So I don't know if the jury's out, but right now, Luka is by far the best of all of them.
I just imagine if Luka was playing with Devin Booker. I mean, they're exciting to watch now with Ricky Rubio, but could you imagine that pairing? Like, we would have that pairing for the next 10 years.
But there was also, part of James Jones and bringing in Monty Williams is, the continuity of the franchise has changed a little bit. We don't know. There's been a lot of dysfunction in the Phoenix Suns, so we don't know how good Luka would have been in that first year.
But also the key is Devin Booker re-signed. A lot of young players, they don't necessarily want to stay with a team that they haven't made the playoffs with. The record struggled overall. They've changed coaches a couple of times. So Devin Booker is a key right there.
How about Trae Young? I mean, he's putting on the show. I mean, Luka's putting up MVP-like numbers, but what Trae does, it seems like it's maybe more of an entertaining style.
Yeah, he just had 40 and 10. And the dude is, 21, 22? Like, so all of those guys, the ceiling is still very, very high. Like, when you talk about players at 21, 22, they're going to be far better at 24, 25. If they're putting up numbers like this now, if they even just get 5% better over the next 5-6 years, that's going to be scary.
And we talked about Phoenix. They lost Ayton. We talk about Atlanta. They lost Collins. Yet Trae Young still keeping them afloat, throwing it between guys' legs more than one time. He is must-see TV.
Yeah.
And in Sacramento losing Marvin Bagley. I mean, there's that big of a drop-off then, I guess, what we're saying between Luka, Trae, and then everybody else in that draft.
For me, it is.
Yeah. And again, it's not to disrespect. It's not to disrespect Bagley.
It's kind of disrespectful.
No, well, look, the disrespect is not on our part, seeing what we see with our own eyes and what every NBA fan sees with their own eyes. Like, look, there's a big gap between Luka and Trae, Ayton, and there's a big gap between all those. The only one that I'll give a slight pass to is Ayton, only because 7-footers can take time to develop. And he's got all the skills and tools. If he turns into a David Robinson by the time he's 28, we might be looking at this differently because he has that body type, that size, and that skill. That's the only person that could be somewhat a little bit different in 5 or 6 years.
Could you make that same excuse for Marvin Bagley, though, if you're talking about management, if you're saying where the Suns were at before they had Monte, getting a guy like Luka, they didn't make that decision, went for DeAndre, same for Sacramento Kings? Well, it's not like they've had the most healthy culture.
But they had a good year last year. They had a good year last year. They were just outside the postseason. I think they might have overachieved a little bit last year. But no, I think Bagley's going to be a good player. But there's a difference between being a star and like us. Like, we watch Ja Morant out there and we're like, oh, no, that's different, right? And it's different right away. Zion Williamson, different right away. Trae Young, different right away. Same with Luka. Like, they're all different, and we know this because we played. Like, we all walk into a room. Oh, I'm a bad boy. I know how to play. I'm Final Four. I'm this. I'm that. All of us went to the Final Four. We all came in with all these accolades. But what happens the minute we see somebody? We like, oh yeah, he's different, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the same way people looked at you when you walked into a room in high school, or you walked into a room in college. They're like, oh yeah, we're good, but those guys are different.
But the great thing about Luka and Trae, I think they both can be all-stars this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about this one? So 1 versus 2. Would you have Luka or would you have Trae and DeAndre Hunter? You're starting the franchise. 2 versus 1.
Luka.
Well, it's going to be Luka all the way. That's what I'm saying.
And can we have an honest conversation? We'll turn off the cameras. I think everybody is where they need to be. right? I think Luka and the way the Dallas Mavericks organization is run and what they've had with Dirk and Steve Nash, like they're right where they need. Trae Young and Atlanta and the energy that's in that building. Everyone low key is kind of like in a place where they can succeed, not only on the court, but off the court in the community and just the connection to the fan base. I think that's a real thing.
That off the camera. Why
It was a joke. It was a joke, dude.
And you mentioned him earlier. So is John Morant, too.
Yeah,
so
John
Morant, too.
Yeah, he's a country boy that gets to be in a place, and the way he plays, that grit and grind. And look, there's so much respect even from Conley, just being like, like they're in good hands with that kid. And we did the feature on him, and you see him out there with a big lake and just hanging out in the country. That's where he feels most comfortable. I think Zion Williamson also, like, they needed that. That was a shot in the arm for the entire community, for the fan base, for everything. So we could do the redraft, but it's rare that you can say all of those guys, and even Ayton being, going to U of A, being from Phoenix, playing in Phoenix, right? Like, if he can get, his situation, resolved and get good, I got no complaints for everybody. Yeah,
U of A
yeah.
Just holding on.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on forever.
There you go. Oh, good. Oh,
Nice hand. Look, he got scared. He got a hand grenade.
Off the clock.